forward. So let me start like this. Around this time last year, something was happening. I'm sure if you can cast your mind back in Nigeria, you remember what was happening around this time last year. There was a lot of bass doors, all right, between and which started with artist versus label argument on money. I don't want to mention names. You all know the story. That was how we started the year. You know, it was like, oh, one an artist said that the label was owing money and they were dubious, and then it was a lot of back and forth on social media. There was a lot of ulabalu around that. People were now saying that, oh, so there's money in the industry like this, and then there came people, a few pastors, ministers, and some other people were saying like, oh, so we are fighting over money industry. You know what? We'll not even let everybody stop inviting guest artists. Let everybody go and focus on their choir. I started seeing a lot of people post that. Now, when I saw those posts, I was laughing. I was laughing because many of those things that people were saying, they were saying it out of the emotion of the moment. They were not saying it from a place of deep conviction. So some people were saying it because they felt like, why should an artist be charging us 3 million naira or $10 million or whatever? Why is it just to come and lead worship? It's not just come and sing. You know what? Forget all those artists. We'll use our choir. We'll use our choir. They were not thinking deep, and they were not saying it from a place of deep conviction. All right. And I was also laughing because these are some things that I have been writing on. For those who follow me on social media, I've been saying this thing over and over for years about the fact that the church community needs to invest a lot in the music team. Why? Because I see the music team as the future of the industry. It's the only place in the gospel setup that people are actually being deliberately groomed. Okay, that's where almost every artist you can think of, that's where they rose from, and they were able to learn certain things and then grow from there. So my point is that the choir is actually the bedrock of what we have in the industry. That's where people get discipled. That's where people get, they get taught. That's where, because by the time you start as an artist and you start releasing songs, you're already in the spotlight. Anything that you don't learn before that time, it may be difficult for you to correct. You just keep on making mistakes. All right. So it shows the importance of the choir. Now, I said all that story of what happened last year to show how important the choir is, number one. Number two, to also show that we actually dropped the ball, because after the whole emotion of that scenario of event ended, everybody went back to square one. People were not taking the needed step to actually invest in their choir. So one thing we can learn from what happened last year is that everybody saw that one way to correct errors, or one way to actually build a working system in the gospel space, is to actually invest in the in the choir of the local church community. All right. And there are some things that we must just get right. Now, I know that there are a lot of singers here. I wish we also had maybe pastors on this call who are listening, but I'm sure that even if they are not here, probably they're going to watch this video later on. One of the things that I want to say is that, number one, all pastors, local church pastors, should understand that while we are not saying that music is everything that is needed for a church to grow, music plays a critical role in today's church service. There is practically no church that does without music. I'm not saying that you can't do without music, but music has a role to play when it comes to worship, when it comes to passing on the message. I was teaching a class yesterday, and I was quoting Prophet Evangelist Mobad. I don't know if anybody knows Evangelist Mobad. He has died now. Prophet Mobad. He said, "Music no need permission to enter your space," and that was one of his songs that he sang. And I was saying that when he said that, one of the things that you can pick from there is that when a song is being done, unconsciously the message in the song enters into you without you actively even listening to it. So that means that the music ministry or the choir in a church, they have the power to actually help the message that is being preached, the doctrine, to actually seep in faster. So every pastor listening on this, every pastor listening to this should understand that the first thing that would help a choir to grow, the first thing that will help a music team to grow in a church, is that there must be proper value given to the music team. proper value, which will now affect the kind of investment you are making. One thing I've observed is that many pastors are expecting their church to sound like Maverick City, and they are giving them the investment and the gadgets of a local Akpala band. I don't have anything against Akpala music. I love it. But what I'm telling you is that you can't be giving your music teams talking drum, Agbamole, you know, Omele, and you are telling them that you want them to sound like Ezekiel Walker. So, or you give them cocoyam, you give them egusi, you give them locust beans, and you tell them to make jollof rice. It's not possible. So the first point for music teams is that when the pastors and the church leaders see how important the choir is and the role they play, and the fact that they have opportunity to use the choir to raise stars. Many pastors right now are afraid of having stars raised from their choir. Why? Because they feel like when they become stars, they will leave the choir. But that should be your goal, because there are different levels of music ministry. There's the choir and the worship leaders. There's the artist. There's the artistry side. Once you get into artistry, you are more like an evangelist or an apostle from that choir. No pastor should expect that an artist will not have time for Friday, Saturday rehearsal like they used to do before when they were in choir. So many times, not every time, but a few times that pastors say that, oh, now you have become a big boy, you don't have time for church again. It's because they probably don't understand that the dimension of ministry has changed. Because right now, that particular singer before was just useful to you, but right now the world is now taking from that singer, and that's because you built that person. So, what you need to do as a church is build a system that will continually reproduce greatness. So when three singers become great from your choir and they are everywhere, when the system is running, the system will bring up more singers. All right. So that's what every pastor should do. Okay. So there should be that level of investment. Give them the resources that is needed. Don't expect them to sound great. Don't expect that, okay, they'll just say no. If you are, I've heard people say things like, no, if you are anointed, you don't need all the instruments in the world. You need the instruments in the world. So I'm saying that, I'm emphasizing that because that's the very first point. Because many music teams in Nigeria are struggling. They are struggling because they are bringing one John Picky song, one Kev Franklin song. They want to do it, and they don't even have the environment. The rehearsal environment is not conducive. The church is only able to pay for 2 hours rehearsal, fuel for 2 hours rehearsal, and they expect that in 2 hours they will do the songs that took months for those guys to do. And so the guys are frustrated. They are cramming songs. They are doing la cram la pour inside the house. What they did in school, they are doing it in the house of God again, and then it's becoming a whole lot. So please, that's the first point. The second thing that every music team listening to me must get to be able to get things right in 2026 and going forward is that, number two, please get a great music director. And if you're a music director here, upgrade your skill. What is music directing? Let me say it in layman's terms: giving direction to the music. Maybe if it was in 1995 that you could say that you're a music director because you can source for songs, you can go and buy CDs and buy DVDs and then bring songs to your choir. Because that time we didn't have YouTube and access to streaming platforms like this. So if you have songs, if you have CD, if you have money to buy DVD that is 5,000 naira, that time it was a whole lot to buy it, because that time ordinary CD was like 100 naira. So if somebody spends 5,000 to go and buy original CD, you're a big boy. That was then. That ability to get songs to come and score, to come and teach them scored songs, was what we can call a music director. Right now everybody has access to these songs on YouTube, Spotify, everywhere. So if you're a music director, you can't just, your only skill cannot just be that you are choosing songs, because everybody in your choir should be able to score songs. So you must be able to create a vision for your choir. Where is this choir going to? What would differentiate this choir from the choir next door? What is our assignment? Do you have a structure in your choir to be able to raise great people, or just want them to be singing special number every Sunday? Those are the things you start putting on paper right now in the beginning of the year 2026 and going forward. What structures are we setting in place? What's our vision? What's our roadmap? Where are we heading to? Many choirs, many music teams don't have that structure. It's just all about, oh, there's a service coming up, there's an anniversary coming up, and why you should Actually, if you are not careful, people will fall into boredom from routine. One day they'll wake up and ask themselves, what am I doing here? I'm just singing in church service Sunday to Sunday to Sunday, my future. And they will discover that they don't have any other future.
Minister Tommy Tush, I think the network is going off
Just
and
bring
on.
a song from YouTube. Say, you have brought this song and then this is how you want to do it. No. How do you want this choir to sound? Every artist thrives on what I call a brand, or let me say it a flavor. Every artist has a sound, a flavor. When you listen to Moses Bliss, you know this is Moses Bliss. It's different from when you listen to Tokwe Alabi. Tokwe Alabi and Moses Bliss can sing the same song, but there's a way both of them will sing it that you know that, oh, this is this person. The same way you must see your choir as an artist. That is, you are singing songs that are popular, singing songs from everywhere, but there must be a taste. There must be something that stands out your choir. So, music directing is quite important. There must be a structure and that system that you are building in your choir. The third thing I'm going to share on that every choir must put in place as well is that number one, understand that it is what you inhale. The Yorubas will say that it is what the bird eats that the bird will take to fly. So whatever you don't, whatever you want to, whatever kind of music or kind of standard you want your choir to have, what are the ingredients you are putting in place to have it? What kind of singers, what kind of musicians are you putting in place? A couple of months back, there was a particular musician in Nigeria whose video was going viral when he was sharing that it's not the job of a MD to train people, and some people were tackling him on that video. And I knew they could take it in different ways, but the truth of the matter is that the real job of training is not in the hands of your MD. That's just the truth. Because the MD is focused on creating the music. So you are now, I was talking to a choir yesterday, and somebody asked the question that how do you handle a tone deaf person in the choir? I said, go and put the person in the hands of a professional trainer, vocal trainer. I said, because there is no MD in Nigeria, there's no church structure that can handle somebody who is tone deaf. Because when you come for rehearsal in service, some of you use studios for rehearse. You have booked 3 or 4 hours. You have planned that you want to rehearse praise worship, rehearse special number, this one, that one, offering. Now, somebody who is tone deaf, you have to start you may be singing the person's part to the person's ear. He won't get it. So there's no time in that rehearsal structure to undo that person, and the person will feel left out. So that person does not need rehearsal. He does not need all your John Picky songs. Let that person get a professional help. So what am I trying to say? There are many times that music teams want excellence, but then pastor comes and say, anybody that is willing to join the choir, come and join. As you join, you will improve. That's number one recipe for failure. If you want to have a great choir, that's number one recipe for failure. Because you can't just bring any kind of singers, any kind of musicians to the choir and expect that because they are rehearsing every weekend, they will just suddenly become good. No. So every singer listening to me must understand that your growth is first of all your personal initiative, your personal responsibility. Don't dump your growth on your MD. Don't say the reason why you're not growing is because the MD does not have your time. Take your growth personal, right? Be hungry enough that you can grow yourself. And there are materials everywhere right now. Many people don't even have personal rehearsals. That's where you learn from. All the people that are great today, many of our speakers today, they will attest to the fact that when they started doing music a few years back, they spent a lot of time, a lot of resources trying to grow themselves. Why am I saying this? If a choir wants to be great and they are bringing in mediocre singers, I'm sorry for using that word, people that are just not there, you would spend a lot of energy and you may not even achieve what you want to achieve, and it may take a lot of time to get there. So what do you now do? There must be a basic standard that I believe that every great choir should have. And I usually say the number one basic standard is that when a singer wants to join a choir, at least be able to sing on key, be able to sing on beat, be able to sing your harmony. Now, somebody may say, what if somebody does not have all of these things complete? Okay, look at the level at which they are. Are they good to a point that you know that, okay, this person just needs a little bit of brushing up? You can accept them on the ground that in your choir you have a structure to to help them to brush up. Don't depend on the weekly rehearsal alone to brush that person up. So what happens is many times we bring all of these kind of people in. Like I give the example. You want to make jollof fries, and then somebody comes and say, "I am yam." You say, "Come, don't worry, we'll make jollof fries." Somebody comes and says, "I am cocoyam." You say, "Come." Somebody comes and say, I am egusi. You say, "Come." Somebody comes and say, "I'm watermelon." You say, "Come." So you bring all of these people in, and then the real ingredients to make that jollof rice, you don't have it. There's no pepper, there's no tomato, there's no vegetable oil. All you see is yam and cocoyam choir members, and you want to make jollof rice. Okay, so you need to establish all that structure and ensure that you get the best of the best. Finally, one thing that everybody must have is, number one, there must be the patience to build a system. I can mention a lot of great music teams, people that have done exceptionally well when it comes to music team structure in Nigeria. Even though, yes, there are a lot of loopholes that I've observed there, we have seen what a church like House on the Rock has done over the years. Not perfect, but many people that have been in the church music system over the years will see that no, I mean, from the 90s to the early 2000s, Pastor Paul built a solid thing. I mean, there was something going on there. The likes of the late Samuel Oposo was there, Kike Mudiaga, many musicians were top there. Something was happening. And if you observe the system, if you observe the qualities of that system, there was something that was unique to it. Okay, look at what in a few years back, what Koza also was doing, especially the time when Dusin was there. You had some things working in that system. Now, one thing you must understand is that for you to have that greatness in the choir, there must be the patience to work a structure to get the end result. When you don't have that patience, when you want to achieve a result now, when you want the thing to happen now, you are going to make a lot of compromises. So my final word to every music team here is that, or every music team MD, whatever it is, that after adding all of these things together, understand that your competition is not the choir next door. Don't try to make your choir like the choir that you are watching on YouTube. They have taken time to be where they are. So be patient to build. Let it be that you have a 10-year plan. You have a 15-year plan. That, okay, you know what? When we start building this thing, this is what we achieve in 2 years. This is what we achieve in 3 years. Because if you don't have that patience, what you will do is that you will just go online, look for which choir is trending right now. It's also choir. Start sending their reels to your choir. Start copying their lineup of songs. And that is another recipe for failure, because you are copying the songs from a choir that their mission statement, their vision, their environment is different from you. You are bringing all of that into your own. You want to force your members to sound like them, dress like them. That cannot work. So I'm going to stop there for now. I believe that if every music team can just gather these things together and then contextualize it, put it in your own context, you're going to get the results you want. Thank you so much, sir.